Okay. Again, one problem has occurred, that is my browser stopped responding. So basically Laravel, and as per the commands that I can see, many of you know about it. Okay. Can't we choose any other framework, browser? Okay, then see, the basic thing is like it is the mostly starred repository right now in the GitHub, and Laravel is something that is there in your syllabus, so we can't choose. It's not our choice. It's the institute's choice, and it will be as per the design curriculum. So this thing is there, okay, and that is what we have to follow, and we have to learn this framework. So it is not like that a typical framework where we can just import it in our application, in our code, and we can just write it in the like top, and then similarly we can use its functionalities, that is its methods or function or something that it provides. So it is completely a different thing where we have a complete architecture that we need to follow instead of going in a traditional way where in Java or something, Python, what do we do is we just try to import that thing and just similarly would be able to use that thing. But now this framework is something that gives you a complete directory structure where you could do your own things, and based on the things, based on the directory um, structure, and many different things are there where you can just simply put your code and try your own things. So we'll try to understand these things based on the coverage, okay, starting from the very basic things, and then eventually we'll go up to the CRUD application, okay, because that is how we can make sure that we know about this technology or not. Okay, so PHP framework for WebArtisan. WebArtisan is nothing but it is just not a simple or very what we say is a simple thing that people develop. It is a totally different thing where people might put off like their own things, their own skills, and they might want to add something that is not that much easier or that much clear, but they might want to put something different as we have some sort of Symfony is one thing that provides us some component, okay, for the web development. And if I say you have a set component as well as cache component, configuration thing, console component, validator component, and ultimately you'd be having more than 25 to 30 such component in that kind of library or in that framework. So if you have this kind of things where you could just use this thing in your code, then it's a very good thing as compared to the simple environment that you might be in. So it is a very good thing where people could just simply take the functionality of this library. And one more important thing over here is like see at this particular place, being a student, you are not going to develop something that is very big or complex or that comprises many tables or database or something. So you'd be always working with like at this level you'd be working with some 2 or 3 or maximum 5 or 10 pages, and for that kind of development you might not feel it that much good, or you may find it a bit difficult to understand and to map all the structure. But if you are into something where your project is very big and many developers are working on the same thing, then you will say that yeah, now we think that Laravel is something that could give us that thing, okay, where multiple people are using the same.
So there is one doubt. The purpose of learning a framework is because of the industry use only. Because if there is
Yes.
a change of use case, we develop new framework or we accommodate something new.
Yes.
So Laravel is quite outdated, and we can learn. There are many other frameworks also which are too great
I
for
can
that.
see, yeah, it is fine if it is outdated or if it has been developed way earlier. It is not outdated thing because it all depends on the like industry need or
Yeah, it still
potential
can do
customers.
that. Because
So yeah,
they don't want to change in tech stack, because that will take quite a lot of time to code that in another framework. So
yes,
that's the
yes.
case.
Yes, but what I can respond to your query is like continuous support is there. So many things are getting added with each of their releases. So it's not like that okay, they will just keep that thing conventional or traditional and you just have to work with that old thing. They are updating that thing, and that's how they are putting this thing into the GitHub and all. They are releasing different things. But as far the outdated thing or related to this framework, this thing is like it is there in your curriculum, it is there in your syllabus, and you have to follow that thing only. We
Just
cannot change that thing, na?
we can ask them out now.
Yes.
Can we
You
do it? Because the
yes,
purpose of attending web engineering is
yes,
that
yes,
we
yes.
learn
To
some
learn the advanced things. Yeah, to learn
yeah,
the
to
as
learn the
simple as that.
advanced things.
Advanced things.
when
Yeah,
they,
as simple
when
as.
there are things like Next.js, Gatsby, there are
Yes.
other things like Vuex, Next, there are other things that are very much prevalent nowadays. So we can learn that thing, no? When we
For
are
that,
going
what
for
I
the
can
development.
for that what I
There,
can say is yes, yes, I got your point and your class point. But for that thing, what you can do is you can drop a mail based on the feedback that you get from your class, and similarly, you can make something out, and you can directly write to the director of the institute, and you can communicate with him for the same. But as far as the syllabus is concerned, I have to cover this thing only. I cannot go by my own, or I cannot cover own like something that is there in the market. It is not there in your syllabus, so I have to go as per the syllabus only now. So that is the point. So you try to communicate with him, and uh,
that goes well.
maybe like now the semester started, so it is not possible to update the curriculum or syllabus or something. And if he says so that okay, it is fine if the Laravel framework is there in your syllabus, and if you want to cover something as per the student's need or something, and if he says me like that thing, then I can go in that way. But as far
Got your
as
point.
this thing is there, like I have to simply follow the syllabus. Nothing else could be done. Okay. Uh, so no problem. See, this is just the first lecture.
Yeah.
You have some time. Like after first lecture, you just try to communicate with him, and you say that okay, we want immediate things because now framework has started and things will go uh, as it is there in the syllabus and as per the flow of this particular framework. Because once we start the directory structure and we put our efforts for installing the Laravel as well as to understand the basic directory structure as well as like routing is there. Similarly, some other things are needed to be explored. So once we are into this thing, na, then
More or less, they are all
you
the same things:
yes,
routing
yeah,
and the
yes,
directory
but
structure, pages,
then
and
too many
components.
students are here who don't know the basic things, how to like the very first thing that is getting displayed on your browser, how it is taking this in from where this code where you have written the code for that particular thing. And see, the framework itself says that it is having a complex directory structure, and that is what we have to follow. Some of you might not be able to get the basic index.html, what we say in the HTML or something, so might not be able to code that thing also. So we have to go from the scratch, and then we'll try to understand the different things. But
Got,
if you
got
want
your
to change this thing, or if you are worried about the like current trend or something, then you can talk to the director about this thing, because your curriculum is like this only. So you do this thing, you do all of this process in just one day or maximum 2 days, and you can communicate with me, or you can talk to your CR. So later we can change this thing, and also have to take that framework, whatever you say. Okay, and we can go in that direction also. But you have to talk to director regarding the same. Yeah.
yes, sir.
Hmm. So I'm open with this thing. I don't have any problem, but I will always go as per the syllabus, so I cannot do anything else. Okay. So you
Mm,
talk to the director, but do it in just 1 or 2 days only. You have to be in hurry, because
yeah.
after
There's
finishing a month and then you say that okay, we can now switch to this or that thing. That is not possible. Okay. Yeah. Fine. You can mute yourself. Okay. Fine. So. Uh, we will go from the very basic things, like we'll try to understand this basic structure, how it displays a welcome page or something. And once we know this thing, that okay, we are getting this thing from this particular directory, or if it is taking this blade or something, then we need to understand that flow. And if we are okay with the flow, then only you'd be working with the Laravel architecture or framework. So for that, we have to go from the very basic things that we have with the Laravel. Okay, so one framework, that it is providing, and with the framework we are getting so many things now. So many things, let's say we are getting authorization techniques as well as object oriented libraries as well as MVC support in the true sense. Like it's not like that, okay, it is just saying that MVC is there and then you are not getting a separate things where you could just simply code or put something that you want to do. And it is like clearly supporting MVC architecture where you have separate things for model, view, and controller. And if you are in a team and similarly someone is working with the view part, or someone is into the modeling part, or someone is into the database connectivity part, then you can separate it out easily based on a directory structure. And one more important thing is it is providing you artisan CLI, that is the command line interface, where you could just simply write one command to populate things, or if I say to seed some dummy data, or to migrate a single field or something. So that is also a very good thing. You not have to write everything, and so that is the basic functionality that this particular framework provide, where repetitive coding is not required. And if I say so, then it should be like that only, because you have multiple commands in Artisan CLI where each and every command gives you some sort of functionality that you could easily do with your application. So that is the main advantage of using this framework, as well as built on the top of the Symfony 2 component. So the Symfony component was also developed to do something different and to provide some more functionalities, or to like to get the developers, or to make developers very like free, where they could just simply add some component into the web page, and once they add this component they could be using its functionality easily, instead of writing whole lot of like code, or like writing number of lines into their PHP file or something. So some of these things are why, like workflow component is there and process component is there. So there can be, as I say, like there can be so many components in one framework or library, but it all depends on your own like web application requirement or your development requirement. So it is like that, and like any other framework provides services and library for interacting with web requests and other services. So if it is for just one or two page, then I recommend not going into the Laravel or some other framework, or exploring it, because it will create it will make it more complex. And if you are into big project or something, that's very good thing. But as a part of this course, we are going to learn it from the very basic, displaying some textual information, from starting from this basic thing to developing something that is related to database or important components that you get in the Laravel. Okay. And as far as your things are concerned, like you can drop a mail based on the feedback that you get from the colleagues. Okay. And likewise, you can talk to the director of this thing, else Laravel is perfect at this point. Also, the syllabus, or you can say like this things has been designed as per the current trend. I think like the syllabus was updated in 17 or 16 or something. So at that time, this was trend. This was a trending thing, that is the Laravel, and it was the most starred repos that you had in the GitHub. So as compared to the other rival frameworks, as you can see, Symfony is there, then Zend is there, and all. So people are actually liking it. So that is why it is there in your syllabus, instead of putting something coordinator or some other thing, because and then we have to start with something that is there, or we can cover everything that is there in the market, because these are the framework thing. Like if you are into something, some development or something, and if you can simply provide the continuous support, or if you have community, or if you have some forum or something where you could just simply get the feedbacks and you can put that thing into the code or in each of the releases, then it is going to trend. So we need something to be very standard to go ahead with as a part of our syllabus. Okay, so understand this thing, as well as currently it is having 63.4k stars. Okay, so many people have put this thing into their GitHub so that they can directly start with this framework. And likewise, see this likes and stars and all would change based on the releases or certain things that are there in the market. So it is ever changing things. So yeah, so initial release was in June 2011. Similarly, the latest version that we have is Laravel 8, where it is using the Docker, and we have to install this framework on our machine. So what I recommend is you use the Ubuntu system, you install Ubuntu in your machine. If you are not okay with this, if you're getting some error while installing it, and what you do is you download and install the Oracle VirtualBox and run that thing in this virtual box only, because ultimately we want Linux kernel, and if you run it on your Windows system or something, it's going to give you so many errors, and we cannot solve each and every error because there are so many things associated with Laravel. A single missing library could be creating like a headache. So we will simply go with the Ubuntu system this time, okay, as compared to the last semester. So try to put it in the dual boot manner, and if you are not able to do so, you can simply go with this virtual box. It will work fine, and everything will be there. Okay, it will not be erased. And PHP support, like latest PHP support is also there. There is PHP 8 plus 8.xx, whatever version it is, and architecture is MVC, but it is in the true sense it is supporting MVC architecture. Whenever we will go with the architecture point or directory structure, you will be able to understand it. Okay. Yeah, so these are the things that we have. And again, see one more thing I forgot, like the same syllabus, the same thing you are getting, the same thing EC students are also learning. So it is to be unified. So if you are not okay with this thing, this framework or something, and then you can also talk to the EC students, and likewise you can put your point in front of director. But because both of your like EC and computer branch is getting both of these students like learning this thing, okay, so try to communicate with them also. Fine. And then yeah, very flexible framework, so we can like put the things as per our need, and there are at least 4 options to create new projects. So here I have kept like 4 things, as you can see on the computer screen, but we'll be using this 4th option because right now the current version is Laravel 8 and we have to go with it only, or we don't have the other option. So yeah, we can use this thing, but again, like multiple students will use multiple things and it will not remain unified, and again you'll be getting some Linux core Linux based error. And also I want you all to follow this particular thing only, it is via Docker if we are going with this particular framework. Okay, and then similarly via Composer also you can install this thing, and similar steps are given with the GitHub also. So via Docker I will explain you each and every steps whenever we are with this thing, whenever we are in the lab or something where you would be installing this Laravel on our machine. What it tries to do is, instead of going online each and every time and do certain things, what it tries to do is install each and everything on your machine, and it will be local. So you don't have to go online for doing certain things, and it depends on the version. Whatever things are added, it simply goes in that particular direction only, and you have to follow that flow. So with the updates you get so many different varieties. So via Docker we'll be using this thing, because now if you are aware of this thing, this Docker has taken place of this Composer as well as many other things on the development platform. So Docker is something that is giving you a middleware API as well as the much needed things to start a typical development environment or something. So Docker will install it on the Ubuntu, and don't worry about it. I will show you step by step each and everything until the Laravel web page comes on your browser. Okay, so we will set this thing also, how to install it, and then we can certainly go ahead with it. So few things are given over here, like via Laravel installer you have to use a Composer for this thing. and then you can just add a new project with this Laravel new app name. But again, as I say, like we are into this Laravel 8, so Laravel 8, for Laravel 8 there are a few steps to be followed. So here is one thing that is written over here, and one command that is to be written on the Ubuntu system is given over here. It's not just like we have to write just one code and the Docker will be installed. You have to follow certain steps where it will try to download and install multiple libraries and all on your machine. So once you have downloaded Docker, and it should be running in the background to run the Laravel. So yeah, it will take you half an hour or something. So we will install this Docker on our machine, and once it is working, what we have to do is there are a few steps to be followed as per the official documentation of the Laravel 8. We'll try to install it on our machine, Laravel also, and we'll then try to create our one web application, a simple web application where we could do certain sort of coding and all. So we'll try to understand this thing also via Docker, how we can put this thing on our machine. And yeah, so this is a unified thing that we will follow. Else if it is there on your machine already, then it is completely fine. We are just concerned about the directory structure where would be messing around or doing some own stuff. So that is completely fine. If you have already this thing on your machine, don't remove it. You just keep it as of now, okay, until the future thing is decided. Or so we will follow this unified thing via Docker, okay, and we'll try to install it. And yeah, so earlier, like Laravel 5, 6, 7 were using this composer thing where you were given certain packages that were needed to run this Laravel framework, and dump the auto load file and generate new one, update the Laravel version. So certain things you can just simply do with the help of Composer. You do not have to again go through the sequence of steps to update it or to generate certain files. You can just remove the old things and generate the new one. So as I say, like if it is providing you CLI or something, then you can just simply do it with the help of one command, and if you can do this thing, then it's a very good thing. Okay. So overall architecture is given over here, where you could see MVC, separate MVC things are going on, where certainly we have very first thing is request coming up, and then it handles the request based on the URL app routing.php. And but obviously as you are requesting something and you don't know whether this thing is associated with some database or if something else is needed or what to display on the computer screen. So you will try to search for the similar thing as you can see on the computer, on your computer screen. So once it goes in this particular module, it will try to interact with the view and model component. And view will try to, like as you can see over here, view and some directory structure is given. So that is the important part of learning Laravel framework, where you have to interact with this directory structure and you have to put your own things. And takes the ORM object, is object relationship object with help, which helps to get the data from the database. Okay, so now as you can see, we have certain things written over here. It is Laravel app and view. Okay, inside that main view file is that it is the thing that is to be displayed on the computer screen. So over here we have two more things written, that is view.blade and layout. The blade over here doesn't mean that the thing that you that comes in your mind, but it's a different thing. Blade is something associated with the displaying thing. Like if you want to display, suppose this is my first Laravel page or something, and what you have to do is you have to put that thing in this particular code, that is view.blade. View.blade, it is, you can give your own name. So it is user1.blade. You can write it in the same manner. Similarly, layout is to be mentioned in this .blade.php. So it is not like that, okay, you have to create, you have to just follow your own things and things will get displayed. If you miss out something, a single thing you miss out, then you are going to get that mm, typical error on your computer, on your browser and all. So a complete structure is to be maintained. As far as this like basic things are concerned, don't worry about it, about this whole structure as of now, because we are going to see all of this thing in detail. Suppose migration is there, then seeding is there, then model building is there, like seed and get data from the database, how you can just populate the data, how you can just seed the database with some data. You want to check whether your database has been developed as per the data that is present or not, or some single things is to be checked, then you can just simply do it or put it with the command. Okay, so everything is to be like understood from in like much detail, and we have to go through each and every directory structure so that we can know this thing in a better way. And as you can see, database is also there. So if model needs that kind of data, it can search and get the data from the database. Similarly, it will communicate with the controller to display the same thing. And two direct things are over here, as you can see, that is migration and seeding thing. So helps to create a schema for database using schema builder. So basically, whenever you are working in a team and many people are working on the same database, and there is some need to add one column or some other things are needed at certain point to be done in the database, then what you can do is you can use, or you can take the help of this migration. What it will do is it will just try to it will just try to get that particular thing, like, okay, this thing is needed by our team, or some person needs this column, then he can simply migrate this thing to the database. And similar kind of thing goes with the seed also. You can put some dummy data, or suppose a field that you want is xyz and abcd, so you can just put it in the seed code, and similarly it would go to the database. And at the end, auto flushing is also there in the Laravel framework. So if they provide us with this many things, then it's a very good thing. Okay, and ultimately, see, we are going to learn it from the very basic things that we have. Like, don't worry about it, अच्छा कहाँ से develop करना start करना है and all. Don't worry, if it is installed on your machine, then it's fine. If not installed, then also it is fine. We are going to learn this thing from the base, and we'll try to understand the reactor structure also. So things will go in this manner only in this framework. So as I said, it's not a framework where you could just simply import it and start using its functionality. You have to first of all understand the structure, and only you can go ahead with it. So now what's new thing comes whenever you know the architecture itself and you work with the architecture. If you are not aware of the framework, but obviously you might not be able to understand the support things or the things that are added in the recent releases. Uh, so that is why you might not be able to understand some of the terms that are written over here. Okay, but with this like Laravel 8, few things have been added, that is PHP 8 support is there, as well as React property to root service provider. Okay, as well as one Tinker is there. Okay, and then .environment support is also there. So there is a thing, but whenever you want to configure your environment, like you have used suppose SQLite in your application, and you want to get around with this thing, you can simply um, open this file, or you can simply write your code or manipulate your code in this environment file. So that keeps the track of configuration that you have done with your in your application. So as so many things, different things are there, we will try to understand all of these things. These are just the features that they give, like new folder structure. With each releases they try to update things based on the recommendation, based on the feedbacks from the potential developers. So we'll try to understand these things. Okay, in detail structure is also there with us, so we'll try to understand all of this thing. Okay, so Laravel directory structure is the next thing that is over here. Okay, fine. So we have app config database. Not like that you are just going to get this many things. There are many more things that is there in your basic Laravel framework, but we'll try to focus on the main things which we will require for app development. And once we get this thing, we can easily go ahead with it. Okay, fine. So first thing that we have is app directory. Okay, this is nothing but a heart of your Laravel framework, where the functionality and control whole things goes from this particular folder only. And whenever we install this thing on our machine, you will be able to see the whole directory structure, where you would be having different directories, like app is there. Inside that, multiple files are there, and we'll try to understand what does this file do for the application, and how we can populate, or how we can do certain things with it. And similarly, config directory is also there. Okay, so config, as I say, like .env file is there, so it will go in this thing. Okay, and you'd be able to see many different databases in that particular form, and you have that predefined, what we say, predefined structure or syntax written in that. You can just go ahead with it, and you can put your own code and own database name, if I say, or local host or whatever thing you are running on. You can put this thing in this config file. Okay, and then database folder. So again, this thing, migration and seed kind of activity will go from this database folder only. And then public directory contains the front controller in your assets. So whenever you want to mess around with this JavaScript, or you want to do some change with the CSS images, then you can use this directory. But now see, as compared to the conventional approach, this thing is quite different, and we have to go in this direction only. We need to understand the directory structure properly first of all, then only we can go ahead with the coding part, and we will be able to do our own things. Okay, so try to understand this thing. And time is over as of now, and no problem, we can start from this particular point only in tomorrow's lecture. So that's it for today. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen, and you talk to the director for the same thing. Okay. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you. You can leave now.